Hi there, I'm Karen McCarthy and it's time to Karen-ize. Today's Friday, that's when we do some crafting for my emotional health. Hopefully it's for yours too. If you do something else for your emotional health, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Today I've got something a little bit different than what I usually do. I have had this frame and picture in my stash for at least 5 years, I'll bet. Just didn't know what to do with it. It was pretty, it was kind of cool, but it just didn't fit my decor. And I just kind of had it stashed away. Found it the other day and thought, you know what? I know what to do with it now. So today we're going to take a pretty gaudy looking thrift store find and turn it into something more like maybe shabby chic, or I don't know. I never know how to label things, but anyway, so I hope you enjoy this. Thank you for watching, and if you're a subscriber, I just really want you to know how much I appreciate you and how much you're helping me to boost my channel. I'm a baby channel right now, and anytime you do this, make a comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't. That really helps it to get off the ground. So without any more, let's get right into the project. Okay, so the first step is to prep my surface. Now this is a thing that I've had in my stash for a long time. I just thought it had a lot of potential. Got it at Goodwill, gosh, years ago. So the first thing I'm going to do is just give it, the whole thing, a coat of white chalk paint. Oh, my chalk paint is getting pretty thick, so maybe that's good because I think I'm going to need quite a bit of stuff to cover all of this. So I'm just using a foam brush. This has all kinds of little nooks and crannies and things, and the foam brush, I just feel like can get into those nooks and crannies without ruining a brush. So while you're watching, I'm not gonna make you watch me paint this whole thing because it's the same thing, but I would like to know where you're watching, where you are, how far these videos reach, what kind of crafting you like to do. And I'd love it if you put a picture of some of your crafts in the comments. I love to see what you're doing also. Although, you know, if you put it in the comments, you're giving us license to copy. Because I mean, half of my ideas at least come from things that I've seen either at a store like Hobby Lobby or someplace like that. And I see something, wait, that's not getting into that crack. I see something that I really like, but I mean, they're very expensive. And when you know how to do it yourself, you can do it for a lot cheaper. So this foam brush has seen better days. So I'm going to stop the video now. I will finish painting and then I will come back. I'm going to let it dry overnight so it's got a really good time to season, I guess you would call it, before I start doing anything else. And I think I'm going to have to do two coats because you can see the streaks, but I'm just basically covering things up right now, and I'll worry about all of that with the second coat. So I will see you in the next frame. Okay, I am back. I have my frame all painted. I decided, just because I think it'll be easier, I took just one of the really thin canvases from Dollar Tree. I don't remember what size this is, but I cut it to fit inside this little frame in the frame, if that makes sense. And so I'm going to decoupage a napkin on that rather than try to do it and not get it on the rest of the frame. So this is the napkin that I thought I would use. It just looks very spring and summery to me, and that's when I'm going to be having this out. So if you've never done decoupaging with napkins, there's one thing that you need to know first. Let me move that out of the way. Depending on what ply your napkin is, ply means layers. It may have 2 or 3 layers. I don't know that I've ever had any with more than that. So I'm just coming down to a corner and I'm going to separate those layers. There we go. Sometimes that's the hardest part. Just kind of go slow and carefully so you don't rip the napkin. I did forget to do it one time and it worked okay, but it will have a tendency to pucker and wrinkle a little bit more. So there we go. And I'm only going to need one of these squares. So I'm going to cut it with scissors. If I'm doing like a jar or something like that where you're going to see the edges, you know, it doesn't fit exactly, then you want to do, just kind of take your paintbrush and just wet it and then gently pull it away, and that kind of raggedy edge will make it so that after you decoupage you really can't see the edge, unless it's a totally different color than your surface, of course. Okay, put this away. I've got enough to do 3 more projects. It'd be cute on a jar also. I just love it. It's very, makes me happy to look at it. Okay. And of course, oh, here we go. I was gonna say I don't have anything here to do it with. Now I want to get some, just 1 second. I'll be right back. I forgot one thing. I'm going to use a grocery bag to smooth it out so that it doesn't stick to my fingers. I've got a rolly chair and a kind of sloped surface because it's an old house, and I have a cushion on my chair that's supposed to help align your hips a little bit, and it keeps sliding around. So the chair slides and then that slides. Okay, I'm just going to put a nice coat, not real thick, just a nice even coat of Mod Podge on this canvas. This really thin canvas is easy to cut with scissors. Got something on there, get that off. So I just measured it and then marked it with scissors, and whatever that is wanting to get on my surface. I don't know that it would matter, but I sure don't want it to show through the napkin. Okay, trying to make sure I'm in frame. Can't see my phone very well, so. Okay, then I'm going to just place this as carefully as possible. Whoops, didn't get it quite even. Ah, this is when I need a third hand. Gotta be real careful. Especially once the Mod Podge gets on it, it's very fragile. Tears pretty easily. Let me get this. Whoa. Not very coordinated today, I guess. This napkin is wanting to act like I'm putting it on a circular surface or something. Okay. And I don't really care if there are a few little wrinkles. It just kind of gives it kind of an aged look. You can smooth out most of the wrinkles with this. If you try to do it with your finger, a lot of times you'll tear the napkin. So it's best to do. You can use Saran Wrap too. I just don't have any Saran Wrap down here. And these work fine. Okay. So that's on there pretty good. I'm going to set that aside, and whoops, see, now I did tear it a little bit. But all I'm going to do is just put it back down, and you can't even tell. Okay, put that aside. Put the lid back on this for a little bit. I'm going to put this inside my sack so that it doesn't dry out. Old painter's tip, if you don't know that one, if you have, like if you're painting like a room in your house, you don't have to wash your brush out every time. You can just wrap it in a plastic bag, a garbage sack, something like that, and kind of twist it so that there's no air. Put it in your fridge or your freezer if it's going to be a long time, and it's good to go. Okay, now I'm going to, I don't like stark white around here, so I am going to see what this looks like. Going to just distress it a little bit. I'm going to do this. Sometimes I use a paintbrush, sometimes I just use a napkin. It just depends on my, look at that nice bubble, my mood or whatever. So I'm just going to rub this on. If you remember from the beginning, this was kind of a, I don't know if gaudy is the right word, but that gold and I don't know, it was just a little bit too much for me, but we'll see. I might paint this over and do something different. I'm just going to, I may need a brush. Let's see if I've got one here for all of those little crevices. I don't want it to be solid, but I do want it to. I'm just going to do that one section, see if I like it, because if I don't, then I don't have to paint the whole thing over, just that one part. I have a feeling I'm not going to know for sure until I get it done. Maybe I should have just painted it brown. I was going to try to just like age it, but it's not quite working like I wanted it to, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work. Sometimes the way we wanted it originally turns out not to be the best way anyway. You never know. Okay. Maybe, I think I'm going to just dampen my napkin. Excuse me. Yeah, making it damp definitely helped. I kind of like that. It almost looks almost like wood, but not quite. It's going to be all over my hands. I should have gotten some gloves. Oh, well, it's time to do my fingernails again anyway, so if they get this all over them, no big deal. I may not know if I really like it until I get the picture in, so we'll see. So I think I'm just going to keep painting. All right, you probably don't need to watch me paint. You see what I'm doing, so I'm going to turn the video off and I'll come back when I'm done. I took antique wax and I just brushed it on and then wiped off quite a bit, and I love the picture. There's the finished decoupage. I'm going to decoupage over the top just before I put it in here, but in fact, I might decoupage the whole thing. I really like that. It fit perfectly, but I do not like the frame. It's just a little too much. So I'm going to try something. I've just got a little, I don't know what you call these. I'm just going to blot this on. It's kind of the color that's the background of the picture. I want some of the brown, some of the brown to show through, I think. We'll see. So I'm just dotting it on. Good thing about paint is if I totally don't like it, I can just repaint it. I definitely did not like, I had it painted just all white, and that was just too stark. So if I do just totally repaint it, I might just do it in this. This is Folk Art Oatmeal. It's pretty old. I actually got this, somebody was selling a bunch of paints on Marketplace, so I have no idea how old it is. Got a bunch of paint. It was it was really cool. I mean, some of it was not even opened. And she was just not able to do crafting anymore. Was moving into a smaller space and just didn't have room for all of her crafting stuff. You know what? I think I'm just going to paint it. And then maybe I can sand a little bit, but I gotta see if I've got a paintbrush here somewhere. I'll just use one of these little chippy brushes. I'm just going to totally paint it. If I have a little bit of the brown showing through, I'm not gonna worry, but I did not like that. I wasn't sure. You know, sometimes you don't know if it's gonna look good until you get to the end. So that's why I wanted to put the picture in and check it out before I went any further, because I wasn't really liking it, but you never know. I put the picture in, it might have changed it totally. But I do like this oatmeal color better than the white. If I had been thinking, I would have done an off-white like this to begin with. And then I could have just done a little bit of distressing. But it's okay. I'll just paint. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, if you do, like what I was doing here, I did a section at a time and then wiped it off. Because if I were to do the whole thing, because with all of the little crooks and crannies of this thing, it would have started drying and then it wouldn't have come off and it would have been way too dark. Unless you're going for a totally brown frame, which I wasn't. So let's just do this and then we'll see how this looks with the new color. So I think I said this before, but if you haven't already told me where you're from, I would love to know where you're from. And if you've done something like this, let me know what you may have done differently. I'm always looking for new ideas. I love doing my workshops because we have gnome making workshops, and then we have like chalk painting with silk screen transfers. We have those kind of workshops and sometimes other things. But I love it because, I mean, invariably someone in one of my workshops comes up with an easier way of doing something. You don't always think about those easier ways when you're actually doing it. Getting ready for the workshop. This I need to put somewhere else, but so it's like I have learned so many new ways of doing things or new ways of looking at things, and that's really cool because I don't know it all. I am definitely not a pro. I just like to craft, and I'm not a pro at videoing either, so my lighting is the best I can get it in my house. I was watching somebody the other day and they were doing a video. Oh, she wears a cowboy hat, can't think of her name. Anyway, she was compiling a bunch of her projects from the last couple of years that would cost less than $1 to make. And she was apologizing so many times for her earlier videos because they just weren't up to her standards. Well, I thought her earlier videos were just fine, but you know, the longer you do things, the more you learn and the better you get. So hopefully that'll happen with me too. I am really challenged trying to find good lighting. I mean, I've got plenty of light in here, but lighting that's going to show up really well for the videos. Sometimes it's not so good, but I think you can still see what's going on so that you know what we're doing. I hope. Let me know if you can't. Okay, I need to get a little bit more, but I think since I'm using this now, I'm just going to dip my brush right in the container. I really lucked out paint-wise. I was doing a workshop at a local restaurant, a kids' workshop, and I had somebody come up and say, I'm moving, and I've got a whole bunch of paints, the little bottles of craft paint. Could you use them? Because I just need to, they're just going to go in the garbage if you don't want them. And I'm like, yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's probably 80 bottles of craft paint. I was like, oh my gosh. It was like heaven. I mean, not heaven, Christmas. Okay, just got to get a few more of these little spots. Like I say, I don't care if some of it's showing through. I'm going to probably take my sander after this is dry and just distress it a little bit more. But let's see, did I get everything? All sides? I think so. All right. Now, let's see if I'm going to like that. I like that a lot better. We'll see what it looks like when we're done. Like I say, I can always repaint it. I'm not even going to move that because I will probably mess up paint. So I will, whoops, I see a spot that still has a lot of the dark showing. I will be back later when this is dry and we'll see what happens. Okay, I am back with the finished product. I absolutely love it. What a change from what it was like before. I knew that once I got to doing something with it, it would be a very cool frame. And so glad that I finally got to it. If you have done any flea market or thrift store hauls and what would you call it, like a makeover, I would love to see pictures of them in the comments. So have a great one, and I will talk to you next time.